Today we're going to talk about a piece of camp equipment that most people really have no experience with. And there can be an argument on whether or not it's even really necessary. But if you like baking, if you like baked goods while you're camping, and if this is more or less a stable campsite, you're not hiking around from place to place, and we're not nomadic, then you may consider getting yourself a reflector oven, because they're kind of fun. They're a little gimmicky, but they're pretty fun. And they've been around for hundreds of years, like maybe even thousands of years in different types of forms when we think about really what a reflector oven is. But as far as like the camping reflector oven, we know that they've been around for at least a couple hundred years in various different forms. And in fact, during the colonial times here in the United States, having a reflector oven put in front of your hearth was a very practical way of doing your baking instead of using a pot like a cast iron kettle or something else. So we're going to take a look at a 1960s, 1970s reflector oven from the Boy Scouts of America. These things are kind of hard to come by, and they tend to go for a pretty penny. I don't know if people are collecting them or if they're just very practical. If you go to buy a reflector oven, they come in different sizes and there's different styles on how they fold down. I would argue that the Boy Scout model, the reflector oven, is probably the most practical when you're actually going camping. And I have a little bit of historic context to give you from Abercrombie and Fitch's catalog from 1900. Now, this catalog is on the Camp Crafters Guild along with lots of other free resources. So if you are really into camp crafting and the history side of it and you're wanting, reading, because we have a library, it's a legitimate library of resources to help you become a better camp crafter, but also just make you more knowledgeable as well in general. So this is what Abercrombie's advertisement for a reflector oven was. This baker is the best known device for baking and roasting in the woods, far superior to a stove. The pan containing the bread or meat is placed on the wire shelf and the open side of the baker put to the fire. The heat rays are reflected to both bottom and top of the pan, and the cooking is done evenly and quickly in any kind of weather. The baker can also be placed against the side of a camp stove and bakes or roasts perfectly. When open for use, the baker is rigid, but can be folded flat for packing by withdrawing a pin from the side hinge. The baker has strong legs to keep it upright and a handle for moving it about. The hinges are close and tight, special sizes made to order. And here's a compliment that was paid to Abercrombie and Fitch. They add this a lot in their catalogs, which I think is honestly pretty nice when you think about today's age of Google reviews and Yelp and things like that. Having something like this on an advertisement from 1900 is very relatable to our contemporary minds. They said, "Dear sirs, you asked me to let you know how that aluminum baker worked. Well, I used it camping out over a month and my guide said I could not take it out for he had to have it. It worked so well, another camper who saw it ordered one at once from you. It did not turn black, so it did not require cleaning like my old tin one did." And they have a couple of different sizes. Size open 12 by 12 by 8 inches, weighs with bake pan 1.5 pounds. 12 by 18 by 8 inches, weighs about 2.5 pounds. And breadboard made of pine, weighs 1.75 pounds. Waterproof canvas case and strap weighs 1 pound. So those are different editions and models that you could get. All right. This comes in 5 pieces. As you can see, it's about the width of my body, and it's about a foot wide. I'm not going to tell you what the exact specifics are. However, I am actually making the plans for this for the Camp Crafters Guild. It's going to be free on there. So if you're interested in finding some aluminum from your local hardware store and making yourself one, because it's not really all that hard and all that complicated. Sometimes simplicity is best. Then get on the Camp Crafters Guild. All right, so the 5 pieces include your legs, like so. It includes your shelf. It includes the 2 angle pieces. Now, one is very clever, and we'll save that for last and show you. So when you do this, you make sure that the slits, because it kind of goes together like a puzzle, the slits are all lined up in the right way. Then you take the middle shelf, that's your bread shelf. We're going to plug that in first. Now we have our base. The next thing you want to do is take the angle. Doesn't matter which one, you're going to pop that in. Pop that in, and there's a couple slits that help that lock into place due to gravity. So now we have this. Okay, so far, so good. Lastly, we take this piece here, and there's a hole, kind of like a keyhole. Oops. I guess I didn't get that one popped in, locked in quite. There we go. So it's like a keyhole. So you take the little arms and put it in the keyhole, like so. And now this is aluminum, so you don't want to overstress it, and it pops down. And there you go. That is your reflector oven. Now, what makes this design so genius, there's a lot of them, they have handles so you can move them back and forth to check on them. But this one has a hinge system, like so. So if you are sitting over here opposing the fire, right, you can take, with gloves of course, or another tool, lift this up, take a look at and see what you're baking here, and then you can close it back up. Or you can take it up, take a spatula, or hopefully if you're using a pan for bread or something like that, you can just grab the pan out and you can close it back up and put something else in, or whatever you got to do. Now the key to these bakers is very simple. You got to get them hot. You got to like really preheat them. So you're going to check on it, hence why you got the hinge. So you're going to put this right up next to the fire. This red bag here is the fire. You're going to put this right up next to the fire, and you're going to let it do its thing. After it's well heated up, which it's aluminum. Aluminum tracks heat twice as fast as steel. You've heard me say that many times. You're going to go ahead and lift up, put your items in here on the shelf, close it up, and you know, from the fire or whatever, you can kind of look in, check on it every couple of minutes, and you're good to go. That's simple. Now, this doesn't weigh very much. We're talking about a pound, maybe less, right? But it's a little bit bulky. That's the problem with this set. So I wouldn't necessarily take this on a backpacking trip unless you really, really like baked goods. But if you're with a group of people and you're separating your gear, then this may be a really nice addition. In Boy Scouts, we have the patrol system, or maybe in a hunting camp scenario where you're separating the gear. Not everybody needs an axe, right? So just one person takes an axe, one person takes a saw, one person takes the camp cook set or something like that. So you break up these different items. So if you're there for a period of time and you're going to be baking cookies, breads, cinnamon rolls, bannock, you know, whatever it is, you know, because there's nothing that tastes better than food cooked at camp, right? So if you're unfamiliar with cooking brownies and cookies and cakes and things like that on camping trips, give it a shot, because even though it tastes awesome at home, they taste even better when freshly made at camp. So there you have it. Now to take this apart, you just do the opposite. Now you want to make sure to take care of those hinges, because this is thin aluminum. Now I'm not talking about pop can thin, but it is thin aluminum, so we got to treat it with some respect. We can't just bully ourselves around with it. Then you pull up on this to make sure that it's out of that slit. And from there, it breaks down rather quickly. 5 pieces. There you go. Now, Abercrombie and Fitch's, they had a little leather case, a canvas case. This one came in a little plastic red one here. So if it does get dirty, you can put it in here, and you know, your other gear doesn't get so dirty. And I'm sure you can imagine this being on the back side of someone's pack, or maybe on attached to a pack frame if need be, but it doesn't really take a whole lot of space. And again, it's a great addition to your camp outfit. So I'd like to invite you to check out my free newsletter. It's a monthly newsletter, because I'm going to do a write-up on this for this month. And I'm going to have lots of pictures, and not only this one, of various other period correct Baker ovens. And that way you can kind of fiddle fart around with it and see what kind of design you may like. And I'll even look around and do some research and give you some ideas of modern makers who make these Boker ovens. So you can, it's a free newsletter, you know, once a month, not spamming you or anything, but it's just another resource I use to try to help you guys out to enjoy camping and get out there a little bit longer. Again, if you want to read the entire catalogs and all the other books and catalogs that we have, join our Camp Crafters Guild, www.honorableoutfitters.com/join the guild. We hope to see you around our campfire. All right, now if you're interested in camp cooking, then you want to check out this mess kit playlist, because all the historical mess kits that I have, I made a video about it, and some of them I'm going to add to this summer and give you some updated ideas about it. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Give a kiss and hug to your loved ones, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.